Lesson 5 Divide Integers. Real world link. Sharks. A great white shark has 3,000 teeth. It gains and loses teeth often in its lifetime. Suppose a great white loses 3 teeth each day for 5 days without gaining any. So the shark has lost 15 teeth in all. So we're going to write a multiplication sentence for this situation. Well, he loses 3 teeth per day, and this is over 5 days. So negative 3 times 5 gives me a negative 15. Division is related to multiplication. So we're going to write 2 division sentences related to the multiplication sentence you wrote for exercise 1. So negative 3 times 5 equals negative 15. Well, this time we're going to take negative 15, and I'm going to divide it by 5. Well, if I know that negative 3 times 5 equals negative 15, then negative 15 divided by 5 is going to equal negative 3. If I did negative 15 divided by negative 3, I know that would equal 5, based off of my multiplication sentence from part 1. So we're going to work together in completing this table. So in example, 2 times 6 equals 12. The division sentences are 12 divided by 6 equals 2, and 12 divided by 2 equals 6. For both of these, they have the same signs, meaning they're all positive, and all the positives equals a positive. So 12 divided by 6 equals 2, that's your quotient, and that is a positive. 12 divided by 2 equals 6 so the quotient is 6, and that's positive. So for number 3, 2 times quantity negative 4 equals negative 8. So I'm going to take negative 8 and divide it by negative 4. Well, that equals 2. Because 8 divided by 4 is 2. Negative divided by negative is a positive. These are the same signs. The quotient is 2, and therefore it is positive. If I do negative 8 divided by 2, well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Those have different signs. And because they have different signs, that means that the answer is going to be a negative. The quotient of negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. All right, number 4. Negative 3 times 5 equals negative 15. So if I do negative 15 and divide it by 5, well, 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. So this has different signs. The quotient is negative 3, and it's a negative. Then we have negative 15 divided by negative 3. Well, 15 divided by 3 is 5. The negative divided by a negative is a positive. These have the same sign. The quotient is 5, and this is a positive. Negative 2 times negative 5 equals 10. So I'm going to do 10 divided by negative 5. Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. This has a different sign, or different signs. The quotient is negative 2, and so this is going to be a negative. Then if I take 10 divided by negative 2, well, 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. Again, this has different signs. The quotient is negative 5, and this is a negative. So divide integers with different signs. That's what we're going to start off with, dividing integers with different signs. The quotient of 2 integers with different signs is negative, meaning if you divide a negative and a positive, if you divide a negative and a positive, that means that you got that sleepwalker. If you divide a positive by a negative, you still have a sleepwalker. So those mean that those are going to be negatives. So examples, 33 divided by negative 11. Well, 33 divided by 11 is 3. A positive divided by a negative, they're different signs, so therefore it's a negative. Negative 64 divided by 8 is negative 8. Well, 64 divided by 8 is 8. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. So you can divide integers provided that the divisor is not 0, meaning you cannot divide by 0. So an example, 7 divided by 0, this is not possible. You can't go and have 7 ice cream cones and 0 people to give it to. It's not possible. So since multiplication and division sentences are related, you can use them to find the quotient of integers with different signs. So 2 times negative 6 equals negative 12. Well, again, they have different signs. That's the same thing as saying negative 12 divided by 2, which equals negative 6. Well, if you had negative 2 times negative 6, that equals positive 12. 6 divided by negative 2 equals a negative 6. So let's go ahead and practice these. All right, so number 1, I'm going to show this work to the side. I'm going to take 80 and divide it by negative 10. Well, I'm going to start with 80 divided by 10. Well, 80 divided by 10 gives me an 8. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, so my answer is going to be negative 8. For number 2, negative 55 divided by 11. Just like I did before, I'm going to take 55 and divide that by 11, which is 5. Then a negative divided by a positive gives me a negative because they have different signs. So number 3 says use the table to find the constant rate of change in centimeters per hour. So centimeters per hour. Well, the height in centimeters goes from 10 to 8, 8 to 6, 6 to 4. So if you notice on the right-hand side in blue, it says negative 2. So that means that the centimeters are decreasing by 2. And then on the left side, that's saying the hours goes from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So it's increasing by 1. So that becomes negative 2 divided by 1. Well, you can simplify this down to say negative 2. So the constant rate of change is negative 2 centimeters per hour. So negative 2 centimeters per hour. All right, so letter A, we're going to take 20 and divide it by negative 4. 20 divided by negative 4. Well, 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So letter A is negative 5. Letter B, negative 89 divided by 9. Sorry, negative 81 divided by 9. Well, 81 divided by 9 is 9. Negative divided by a positive is a negative, so I have negative 9. Letter C, negative 45 divided by 9. Well, 45 divided by 9 gives me 5. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. So it's negative 5 is my answer. So A, B, and C all have it to where you are taking a positive divided by a negative or a negative divided by a positive. So the signs are not the same. So let's talk about when they have the same sign, what the answer will look like. So divide integers with the same signs. The quotient of 2 integers with the same sign is positive. So examples, we have 15 divided by 5, and that's 3. More specifically, it's positive 3. Negative 64 divided by negative 8 equals a positive 8. So going back to our sleepwalkers, if you have a positive divided by a positive, that person's awake, they're happy. If you have a negative divided by a negative, that person is sleeping, they're happy. So again, these are positives. You can also use multiplication and division sentences to find the quotient of integers with the same sign. So 4 times 5 equals 20, which then becomes 20 divided by 4, which equals 5. That's positive quotient. Negative 4 times 5 equals negative 20. Well, that becomes negative 20 divided by negative 4, which is a positive 5. So again, same signs gives you a positive quotient, so a positive answer to the division. So number 4, let's look at this example. Negative 14 divided by negative 7. I like to show this vertically, but you don't have to. You can do it horizontally. Well, 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. Negative divided by negative is a positive. So the answer is 2. Number 5, negative 27 divided by negative 3. Well, 27 divided by 3 is going to give me 9. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so my answer is 9. Number 6, I'm going to evaluate negative 16 divided by x, and that's if x equals negative 4. So that means I'm going to take that negative 4 for my x, and I'm going to plug it in right here. So I rewrite that as negative 16 divided by negative 4. You could have also written it vertically, saying negative 16 divided by negative 4, whichever you prefer. 16 divided by 4 is 4. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So the answer to this problem is 4, a positive 4. So let's try letter D through G to see if we understand this. I'm going to label these. So letter D, negative 24 divided by negative 4. Well, negative 24 divided by negative 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Negative divided by negative is positive, so my answer is 6 for letter D. Letter E, negative 9 divided by negative 3. So negative 9 divided by negative 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Negative divided by negative is positive. The answer is 3. All right, letter F. Negative 28 divided by negative 27. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Negative divided by negative is positive. Letter F is 4. Letter G. We're going to evaluate A divided by B if A equals negative 33 and B equals negative 3. So instead of writing A, I'm going to replace it with negative 33. And instead of B, I'm going to replace it with negative 3. So negative 33 divided by negative 3. You can just write it horizontally and solve it that way. I just like to see it vertically. So 33 divided by 3 is 11. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So my answer is 11. So example 7, STEM. 1 year, the estimated Australian koala population was 1 million. After 10 years, there were about 100,000 koalas. Find the average change in the koala population per year. Then explain its meaning. So we're going to use this equation, n minus p equals 10. So n is going to be representing the new population, which is 100,000. I'm going to show this work to the right. So n minus p divided by 10. So my new value is 100,000. P is the previous population, which was 1 million. And then I'm going to divide that whole thing by 10. Well, 100,000 minus 1 million is negative 900,000, which I still need to divide by 10. Well, negative 900,000 divided by 10 is going to give me negative 90,000. So that's saying the koala population has changed by negative 90,000 per year. So each year it has gone down by 90,000 koalas. So let's try this last problem. The average temperature in January for the North Pole, Alaska, for North Pole, Alaska is negative 24 degrees Celsius. We're going to use this expression, 9C plus 160, all divided by 5, to find this average temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to round to the nearest degree and then explain what the meaning is. So I'm going to take this 9C plus 160 divided by 5. So 9C plus 160 divided by 5. And we know that we want it to be changed to degrees Fahrenheit. So for the letter C, we're going to say that C equals negative 24. And that's because it's saying negative 24 degrees Celsius. And this C represents Celsius. So I'm going to take that information of C equals negative 24, and I'm going to plug it in for this right there. All right, so 9 times negative 24 plus 160 divided by 5. So I don't know what 9 times negative 24 is. So I'm going to take 24 times 9 off to the side. And I know that 9 times 4 is 36. 2 times 9 is 18 plus 3 is 21. So that's going to give you 216. But technically you have a negative 24 times a positive 9. So that gives me negative 216. So let's continue this. Negative 216 plus 160 divided by 5. So negative 216. I'm going to find the difference of 216 and 160. So that's 0. So that's 56. Now 216 is a negative, and that's larger, so it's negative 56 divided by 5. So negative 56 divided by 5. Oh, and I had a very minor error. Oh, no, I'm good. So negative 56 divided by 5 is approximately, so this is 11.2. So I'm going to say it's approximately 11 degrees Fahrenheit. Because it says round to the nearest degree. So 11 degrees Fahrenheit, that should be negative 11 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reason being is you have a negative divided by a positive. So negative 11 degrees Fahrenheit.